You are about to see Symens-Bucher and Adelaja Simone speaking at the UC Santa Cruz Kresge Town Hall on Thursday, October 16, 2014. The event was hosted by the UC Santa Cruz Common Ground Center, Education for a Just and Sustainable World. To find out more, visit kresge.ucsc.edu/commonground.
All right, we're going to get going on this little day back in collaborative learning. But before we start, we're going to start with a gratitude. And it's going to sound a little opposite at first, but we're going for it. So we were thinking about having you guys think about a moment or something in your life or an experience that maybe didn't feel so good at first or that you weren't grateful for. Maybe it was like a hardship or just something that like is making you frustrated or like grr. But we wanted you guys to hold that experience and then also see if you could see a different side of it and like see if you could learn something from it or see if maybe your true feelings are like, dang, I really am not into that. See if you can just learn to like let it go if you're holding it. But yeah, Haley's gonna give like a little example of her own experience.
For example, recently I've been doubting myself. I've been facing a lot of self-criticism, self-doubt, self-judgment, and it's been really standing in the way of me totally throwing myself into my passions in a confident and joyful way. And so becoming aware of this thought pattern has led to a certain growth in that I need to figure out where is this voice coming from? Why is this pattern continually resurfacing? And how can I get to the root of it and stop it? And then when it happens in the future, I can prevent it before it spirals out of control. So it's a blessing in that sense, even though it's difficult. So think now today about something. Maybe it's current, maybe it's something in the past, but something that seems like an inhibitor that makes it impossible for you to see the beauty and the lessons in it, and where is there grace in that? You can turn to a partner.
Just say you can do a pair share. Go! Important things first. Okay, we're going to take just like a few more seconds to wrap up what you're saying and give thanks to your partner. And I'm going to pass the mic to River.
Hi, everyone. So I think that gratitude really brought us into the topic for today, which is the work that reconnects. We've been reading Active Hope, which deals with the spiral of the work that reconnects, having gratitude, honoring our pain, seeing with new eyes, and going forth. And I've been thinking a lot about how we're always in some stage of this spiral, whether it's maybe you're like reading something for homework and it's just like about some problem in the world and it really like hits you in your heart, you know, you really feel it. Or maybe it's like when you're just out on a hike and you feel how grateful it is to be in such a beautiful place. We're always involved in this spiral, and Anne and Adelaja have chosen to do their work as facilitating the work that reconnects so that people can deeply experience this spiral to honor their pain and to go forth. Last year I had the privilege of being in a workshop with them, and it's very inspiring. They're pretty special people, so I'm very excited to introduce Anne Symens-Bucher and Adelaja Simon.
Let it begin with deep snow on the granite bones of the mountain, in ancient uncut forests. Oh, let it begin like a running stream, like a wild white water river. May all who hunger now be fed, and may we heal the soil that grows our bread. And let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake.
And here's a poem by our community mate Bernadette Miller. It's called What Forests Know, and it seems very appropriate for being here in this amazing forest with you. If you would know what the forest knows, ask the departed. For every life, lost to itself, becomes the unfolding. If you would know what the forest knows, enter its hidden falls. There each droplet, shattered, returns to the deep. If you would know what the forest knows, drink the cadences of its silence, until they echo in your song. Then, in the sweetness of blackberries, you might find yourself devoured. Let the forest shape you as if you belonged to its dreams, for you were always an instrument in the hands of this celebration. So it's very wonderful to be with you, and we have this little bit of time with each other, which is ticking away so quickly, and we have a lot that we'd like to offer, and we really believe that the voice that you most need to hear is not ours, but your own. So we're going to say a few things, but mostly what we're going to be doing here is experiential, because that's what the work that reconnects is about. It's about letting us hear our own voices finding our own truth, and doing that through connecting with ourselves and with each other. So I know you've been reading Active Hope, so you have some idea of what the work that reconnects is, and I see some familiar faces from when we were here with our workshop. We've already just been touching into gratitude, so we had a little practice that you all just did together, a song, a poem, and now I just want to give the map of the spiral of the work that reconnects and talk a little bit about how this work emerged. So the root teacher of the work that reconnects is Joanna, let's hear that again.
Joanna Macy.
Joanna Macy. Okay, Joanna Macy is still alive and teaching and thriving, and she's 85 years old, and she lives in Berkeley, and I'm actually her personal assistant, so I get to be around her a lot. And she's the teacher. We have learned directly from her. I first worked with her in 1984, so 30 years ago. And oh, by the way, 39 years ago, I was a student here and took a class in this very space. So it's great to come back. So Joanna's work initially was called Despair and Personal Power in the Nuclear Age. And then it became known as Deep Ecology work, and now it's known as the work that reconnects. So it's this body of work that's been emerging over 35, 40 years now. And it moves around what we call the spiral of the work that reconnects. So the spiral begins, as we were told already, when we ground in gratitude. So we come into the spiral from the east, and the first step is to ground in gratitude. Now, why do we do that? Well, we know that gratitude is actually good for our health. And it's good for the planet, too, when we can stay in gratitude, because gratitude is a revolutionary act in a time when we would be told we're not enough and we need to purchase more things or change something about the way we look or just have more stuff in order to be, what is it we're trying to be? But there is this message, right, to purchase, there's something inherently not right with us and we have to fix ourselves. And we do that by purchasing things. And that can be pretty bad for the earth, as we know. So to be in gratitude in the present moment for who we are and what we have is a revolutionary act. And the other thing that's really powerful about gratitude is that it doesn't actually depend on external circumstances. We can think of gratitude as a feeling, and we all know what that's like when we're kind of flooded with an experience of gratitude. But we can also put our attention there, and we can choose it, even when our external circumstances may not be giving us that nice feeling. And oftentimes, if we put our attention there, I know I have the experience of the feelings actually follow if I can put my attention there. So when we ground in gratitude, it actually allows us to move to the next stage of the spiral, which is honoring our pain. Honoring our pain for the world. And of course, our pain for the world is not separate from our personal pain. So to be alive in this time, we're walking around with a lot of feelings. We may have feelings of grief, tremendous grief, or outrage, or fear when we hear the news, when we know what's going on all around the planet, when we know that our brother, sister, humans are suffering and dying in wars and from famine and terrible violence all over the planet, when we know that our brother, sister, more than human species are dying at an alarming rate, when we know about catastrophic climate change and nuclear fallout, all these things. We live in this time where we can't not know. And we could come in here and we could sort of paint a picture, we could show movies, and we could give you a lot of news about what's going on, but we don't need to do that. This work, the premise of this work, is that you already know. Now, how do you know? Well, because you are a living, breathing member of the living body of Earth. You are not separate. We are not on Earth. We're in and of Earth. So we, as members of this Earth community, connected in a web of life, know. We know what's going on. And we also live in an age of information where we can find out what's going on. Both the really hard news of the suffering in the world, but also the amazing news about how people are banding together to live differently. So we're going to talk about that too. But the spiral takes us there, and that's one of the things about this work that it's known for, is that we know that it's only through embracing that and knowing that our capacity to suffer with is actually our love. We only grieve and suffer when we love. So it's a great gift to be in touch with our pain. Our anger is our passion for justice. Our fear is our desire to step into courage, and our grief is our love. And when we allow ourselves, ground in gratitude, and allow ourselves to be with the feelings that we have just by being alive, right? We don't have to manufacture them. What we find is that we can move to a place that we call seeing with new eyes. So when we are in this point on the spiral where we're seeing with new eyes, this is where we do work around living systems theory, because this work is based in living systems theory. It's also where we look into what we call deep time, because we know that we're not alone, that in this time we can actually access the ancestors and the ones who are going to come, the future ones are there, that we can put ourselves in their presence through some of the experiential work that we do, and we can get their wisdom and their strength for how we know to act in this time. Once we see with new eyes, then we come to the last stage, which is going forth, because all of this leads us to want to take action, to act on behalf of life. So this is a spiral in the sense that it's not like something that you go around once, right? And you can find yourselves in different parts of this spiral, and you may be in gratitude and find yourself in great grief. And so in some ways, each step on the spiral actually contains the whole as well. The beautiful thing about it that I've come to find out is just, it's kind of archetypal in the sense that you might notice yourself discovering something, like there's something painful, but then if you can back up and ground yourself in gratitude before you face that, it can really help. So I've been learning to do that in my own life before we get to something hard. And even just in personal conversations, if you have something hard to say to somebody, you might have discovered that it helps if you back up and first say what you appreciate or say what you're grateful for before you face the painful thing. And how many of you have had the experience of actually being in something that's really painful and then seeing something shift because you sat there and were with it? Anybody have that experience? Awesome. Okay, so we live in a culture that would tell us to kind of deny that, right? And there's lots of ways to avoid our pain and kind of make it, either there's something the matter with you personally, or to distract yourself from it. We have lots of ways to do that. So to actually honor it and bow to it and be with it and know that we gather strength from that is a great gift in this work. Okay, let's see. What we're going to be doing tonight, very quickly, is going around the spiral. So we're going to move into honoring our pain and do that with one of the practices in the work. I wanted to say that this work, we're going to do it tonight in an hour, and we can do it in a weekend. Sometimes there's 5 or 10 or 7 day intensive. So anytime you have more time, you can go more deeply. So what we're just going to be doing here is giving you a taste of going around the spiral. And if you're interested in having more of a taste, we'll be back in 2015 to do a weekend where we get to spend more time in each stage of the spiral. But tonight, since we just have a little bit of time, we'll go around rather quickly. And so I want to just notice we're grounded. Does everybody feel grounded in gratitude? Yeah, we got to connect around something. We're sitting here together. I mean, it's great to be alive. We had a poem, we had an amazing song. So now I'm going to pass the mic on to Adelaja, and we'll move into a practice we call open sentences.
Thank you. And you mentioned that it's a beautiful gift to, when you're feeling a moment of pain, to come back and honor, to ground yourself in gratitude as a booster even, or as an addition to your strength in order to fully face that aspect of pain that you're experiencing. And I have a short example of this. About 3 months ago, a cousin of mine who was 21 was killed. He was hit by a drunk driver as he was crossing an intersection to head to work. to pay for his schooling. He's finishing up college. And so he's your age, 21. And I get this message from my mother letting me know that he's passed away. And he lives in Florida. I live in Oakland. Right now she lives in Baltimore. So neither one of us were able to go and see the family and engage. So I'm feeling this deep heartbreak. Oh my God, I love this man so much. I love his mother so much. What can I do? And just kind of spiraling into this place of hopelessness, powerlessness, and in that moment I sat back and said, okay, what am I grateful for in this moment? It's not about shifting to happiness and trying to make things light and flowery. It's about really acknowledging that we are, in this moment, we are being given an inordinate amount of gifts. Simply the easiest one to name is the air that we're breathing. What a gift that we're being offered in each moment that we're completely unconscious of most of the time. And so in that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm incredibly grateful that my mother was able to call me through this crazy network. I'm incredibly grateful that I can type in. I literally typed in his name online and was able to see the car, images of the car, his car, video taken of the family, in this moment of pain. It's like, okay, I'm experiencing this with you. And I was able to see the woman who held his hand as he was dying. Online, all of this. And so from grounding in that place of gratitude, I was able to really open myself up fully to the whole experience and connect, via this crazy electron web to the family on the level that I was really wanting. So I offer that just as a short story of ways in which we can make that shift and actually deepen into our pain in order to strengthen and resource ourselves in connection and relationship. Okay. This exercise that we'll be engaging is called open sentences, and I heard from David that you've all engaged this before, but I'll continue with the instructions as we normally do. In this exercise, one person will be speaking. I'll give a prompt. It'll be an incomplete sentence. And the person who is speaking will take this incomplete sentence, repeat what I've given you, and continue from there. And so an example that I have is, this morning or this afternoon for lunch, I ate. And so if I'm you participating, I'll say, this morning or this afternoon for lunch, I ate this incredible meal with David Shaw and Symens-Bucher. We headed to New Leaf, and it was just amazing. This quinoa was perfectly cooked. And the spinach, the greens were just so well flavored and sauteed so beautifully. We had this incredible conversation about visions and depth and deep psychology, and I'm just completely blown away by that experience, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll continue, you'll continue with that little piece of an incomplete sentence and go on into as much detail as you can touch, in this experience, whether you're honoring gratitude, honoring our pain for the world, going for whatever it may be that you're speaking about in these sentences is really important to deepen into the specific details. The other partner, this is in dialogue, so the two partners. The other partner will be listening, giving their full and complete presence to the person who is currently speaking. And that's quite a gift. I implore you to honor and step into that gift that you'll be giving the other person, to really listen and be present to what they're saying. Because so often in conversation, what we receive is folks who are really waiting for their turn to speak while we're talking. Okay, so that's the exercise. We'll switch a few times, but the gist of it, one partner speaking, one partner listening. Okay, so please turn to a partner. Please turn to another person beside you or behind you, in front of you.
Let's do it. Are you comfortable standing or let's sit. Okay, sit. Let's sit there. Great.
Raise your hand if you still need a partner. No? Okay. Quickly tap your partner on the knee. Okay. The first person who tapped is partner A. Partner A's, please raise your hands. Is everyone aware of who the partner A in their group is? Partner A? Okay, partner A will begin, and partner B, you'll be giving the incredible gift of your complete presence. Listen. Partner A, when I look at the condition of the natural world, some things that break my heart are. Partner A, when I look at the condition of the natural world, some things that break my heart are.
The amount of people what is it?
Partner A, please finish up your box. We'll switch to partner B with the same open sentence. When I look at the condition of the natural world, some things that break my heart are. When I look at the condition of the natural world, some things that break my heart are. Partner B. we'll stay with you, partner B, for the next open sentence. It is, when I look at the condition of our society, some things that break my heart are. When I look at the condition of our society, some things that break my heart are. We'll be staying with partner B. Okay, we'll switch to partner A, the same open sentence. When I look at the condition of our society, some things that break my heart are. Partner A. for our last open sentence. And it is some feelings that come up for me, and ways that I can use these feelings are. Some feelings that come up for me, and ways that I can use these feelings are. Partner A.
I guess right now, I think news for what I want.
Some feelings that come up for me about all of this, and ways that I can use these feelings are. Partner B. concludes this exercise of the sentences. Please thank your partner in whichever way feels best to you. Thank each other for being witness to that depth of sharing.
Okay, so that was just dipping in a little bit, and we're gonna close this part of the Spiral to Honoring Our Pain with a song. It's from a poem by Adrian Rich, who's up there with us in the room, and I put some music by Carolyn McKay. My heart is moved by all I cannot say. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving to seeing with new eyes, and today we're going to talk in this part of the spiral about the three stories which you've been reading about in Active Hope. Who can tell me what the three stories are? Call out one. Business as usual. The Great Unraveling. And the Great Turning. Okay, great. So I just quickly, because we're going to do an embodied experiential exercise around this, but so we borrow this term from Sigmund Freud, and we talk about the industrial growth society is the view where we see the earth as a place from which we can extract resources and a place to dump our waste, right? So we're in this shift now from seeing the earth that way to a life-sustaining society. And this is what we call the Great Turning, right? So that's happening, and we know that's happening. There's many, many examples of that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we also know at the same time as that's happening, there's also the Great Unraveling. So we see lots of systems unraveling, whether they're economic systems or social systems or ecological systems. These things are happening simultaneously. And then this third story is the one, and when we're in this story, it's hard to see the other stories. So this is the story of business as usual, that things are going to recover, and we just need to tweak the market, or with just, if we just wait long enough, or just don't get too worried, because, everything's going to be okay, and we can have, this idea of endless growth. So these are just three ways that we can see what's going on in our world. It's not like there's one that's more true than the other. It's really more about what are you going to get behind, because when you're in this story, you can be blind to a lot of reality and kind of cut off from some pretty hard truths. When you're in this story of the Great Unraveling, it can be a place of a lot of hopelessness and fear and desperation, because it's like we're cooked, we're sunk. What's the point? So Adelaja and I, and we hope you, will join us in getting behind the story of the Great Turning. So what does that mean? Okay, so this is how we started to draw this now. We're kind of experimenting with this Venn diagram way of talking about the Great Turning. We know the Great Turning is happening because we see it manifested in three different spheres, we could call them. So one way that we see that the Great Turning is happening, evidence of the Great Turning, is what we could call holding actions. And this is all the things that are happening to save species and to save people, legislative action, civil disobedience, stuff to stop the tar sands, the big climate march where people go out and demonstrate and voice their opposition, homeless shelters, feeding the poor, and being with the suffering. There's many, many examples of holding actions. And this kind of work is very rewarding, but also can be very draining and can tend to burn you out. It's not going to be the only thing that's going to get us to make this shift. We also need what we're now calling transforming the foundations of our common life. So that's about new structures or old structures, really returning to growing food without pesticides, living in communities, resolving our conflicts through restorative practices, alternative forms of energy. We see a lot of it going on at UC, in Santa Cruz, right? Lots of ways that we are transforming the way that we live to be life-sustaining. That alone is also not going to get this shift. So the third thing that we see happening, and the third thing that's necessary for the Great Turning is a shift in consciousness. And this is coming through a return to indigenous spiritual wisdom, through sciences, just a real understanding that we're not, on the earth, but in the earth and of the earth, connected in an interconnected web on a living planet. So what's fun to think about is like this place right here, so this is the Great Turning, right here. And where is the intersection in what you're doing in your lives? Where do these three things come together, and what might that look like? Okay, so now we're going to get into an embodied experiential practice, never before tested or tried. You're going to be the first ones. And since you're such a brilliant self-organizing system, we're going to make this happen. And what we're going to do is we're going to split you into 4 groups. And within those 4 groups, you're going to be split into 3 groups. Following me? And each of the groups is going to be doing a little skit to embody holding actions or transforming the foundations of our common life or shift in consciousness. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to spread out in the room, and David's going to, you have home groups or you have something, right? Yeah. Okay, so tell us how we're going to get into 4 groups.
Where are the 4 places you want to be?
Well, we could be over here, like, over on this side, kind of on the carpet area, and then like right here, and right here, and right over there. I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like.
Can one group go outside?
They could, if we need to, we could spread outside. Maybe we should see what it looks like.
Yeah. Just A, clans A and B, C and D, E and F, G and H, like that.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is invite you to do this in silence, because I think we'll do it more quickly. We want every minute that we have now. So get up and push this. Let's see, what are we going to do with this stuff here? So I guess we should push it back. No, actually, we don't have to. So stay in silence and take your chair. Where do you usually put the chairs? Do you stack them back? Just push your chairs to the back. Okay, stacks of 6. Awesome. We'll do this very quickly and quietly.
Hello! Zoom in. Where's the zoom? Woo!
in this web that we are all connected in, that I am making the shift in my consciousness to take responsibility and make conscious actions going forward, that every action I have has a reaction in this global climate.
So I'm owning up to that and shifting my consciousness and bringing it forward with me.
My name is Lindsay, and I want to be here to help people communicate with the earth and help it understand that it's a living, breathing being and that everything is interconnected and that its survival is vital for our survival, and to help our hearts connect to that.
My name is Mira, and I recognize the myth of separateness and how we are all interconnected, and I commit myself to knowing and remembering I don't have to do it alone.
I'm Eric, and I realize that we all have power here together, so I will always contribute and work with others.
My name is Zane, and I'm making the shift in consciousness to accept that my neighbors and I are not in competition.
I'm Ariane, and I'm making a shift in consciousness by taking responsibility for my own actions when it regards to climate change.
I'm Alexis, and I realize that my positivity and outlook on life can truly shift our outlook on consciousness and climate change and the world as we know it.
Hi everyone, I'm Linda, and the shift in consciousness that I would like to share with you guys is that we are beautiful human beings, and thank you for being alive, and thank you for this earth.
I'm Forrest, and I'm taking a shift in consciousness by trying to raise awareness that we are fundamentally all the same, that we are no different. In order to change the climate that we want to see progress into a brighter future, we as a human society have to progress. Yeah.
All right, who's going to do number 2? Transforming the foundations of our common life. Which group? Which brave group? How about you guys? Will you come up and do? Will you come up and do number 2? Yeah? Huh? You're missing someone. Can you do without that person?
No. If your heart is really beating quickly, you know you're in the group.
Anybody else? Well, we don't want to force it, but wasn't that fun to get to see it? Anybody else willing to come on up? It's just great, you know, we can learn from reading in a book or listening to somebody speak, but really, don't you think that the best way of learning is when you're kind of embodying it, getting it like moving around and just embodying it, like with these skits. So it'd be a great contribution if another group would come on up. Anybody? Are you guys willing? Yeah? Are you number 1? You don't have group support, okay. All the introverts are holding back the extroverts from getting up on the stage. All right, well, is there anybody else? You're just on the edge of deciding to come on up.
All it takes is one bold person from group 2 to raise their hand. To volunteer their group to do it. That's what's happening over here.
You survived. Was it fun? Yeah. Do it. All right. Somebody over here? forming the foundations of our common life?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do.
Okay, so we think that like the new idea of single families living in a single house, like it adds a lot of stress and it kind of just makes it harder on everybody. So what we've decided to do is create a co-housing community. So like we share in responsibilities and like, yeah, that's what we do. So we're gonna go around and say like what we can offer to the table, and I love to garden, so I'll take care of the garden.
I'm really interested in ensuring that we're adequately using water and trying to preserve as best that we can and maintaining the system and making sure there's no leaks and whatnot.
I'm going to be in charge of taking the kids on adventures, going for walks, or going down to the beach, making sure they realize how awesome the outdoors are at a young age.
I can make sure that the house is running properly and that everything is maintained and fixed and in its rightful place.
I really like to cook, so I'm going to cook all the food for the house.
I also like some domestic things like taking the kids out to the forest, baking, sewing, and smashing the patriarchy.
I got some great old recipes. Using all that garden stuff. And I used to be a roofer, so I can keep the roof tight so it doesn't leak on anybody.
And I'm also kind of a cook, so we'll be all helping out in the kitchen, making